Good evening and welcome to Up the Cherries in all departments. This tonight is going to be our Euro preview show. And of course, we've got some guests in the house. And the first one up tonight is from Leicester Till I Die TV. It's Chris. Evening, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, sir. How the devil are you?
Very well, thank you. It's nice to see someone else hosting instead of Paddy for a change, isn't it? But hey ho.
Well, we might get a word in then, mightn't we?
And other guests, obviously known from cherry picking, it is Manny. Good evening, Manny. How you doing, mate?
Good evening to you. All good. Thank you very much indeed. And it's that time of the year. England in a major tournament. The same old story again. All those tears shed in vain. Nothing learnt, nothing gained. Only hope remains.
I love his intros. I really do. And finally, but not least, it's the man with the most, the host with the most. Is that the right thing to say? Paddy.
How am I going to
Paddy is in the
beat
house.
Manny's introduction there?
Oh, Craig.
Honestly, I can't beat that. I can't beat that. So I'm just going to say hello to everybody. Everybody knows my face anyway. So yeah.
Well, yeah, everybody.
Not that we
does.
want to, but we do.
You're a harsh man, Chris. You're a harsh man.
I'm only just warming up, mate. Don't worry.
Oh dear. Here we
If
go.
we're ready, then, gents, shall we proceed?
Yep. Why
And
not?
start
Why
having
not?
a look at the preview to the Euros. Well, first of all, let's have a look at the odds for the Euros. So this is possibly changed by now, but we've got England as favourites at 4-1, France at 9-2, Germany at 11-2, Spain 8-1, as well as Portugal. And then we've got Italy and Holland at 18-1, and then finally Belgium at 22-1. So, whose favourites are there? I mean, Manny, who would you say is your favourite from those odds there?
You know, I actually want to big up Hanno Trollope from Coach's Corner, where I'm a co-host, and obviously you can catch his video on playback. We were just doing a preview stream, and I had to jump off to make sure that I was on time for this one. I actually predicted Germany to go all the way in this tournament. Now, Germany's squad has not been without its share of controversies. Obviously, the decision not to pick either Mats Hummels or Julian Brandt, fresh, of course, from their inspirational run to the Champions League final with Borussia Dortmund, did raise more than a few eyebrows. But there was a story coming out that Hummels and the Dortmund coach, Terzic, I think his name is, had a bit of a falling out prior to the final. And so Nagelsmann obviously picked up on that and said, you know what, Mats, you've been a terrific player for Germany, magnificent servant. You are still quality, but I've got a young team. I don't want your influence as a part of the squad. And he went on to pick Manuel Neuer, of all people, and I thought for all my money he wouldn't be back in the squad. But they do have another absentee, of course, is Serge Gnabry. I love the player, former Arsenal youth, and obviously did really well for Bayern Munich, but the poor boy's injuries really hurt him a great deal. But when you take a look at that squad, they've got an excellent blend of youth and experience, and they are in fine form. 60 million down the drain. Kai Havertz will be leading the line again. And he could very well end up proving to be one of those players who is scorned a great deal. But he could have a fine Euros if he does lead the line. And, of course, if he fails, Thomas Muller can always come off the bench and maybe add some extra beef to everything. But they seem to be peaking at the right time. They're in good form. And, of course, you can't just discount the home team. I've actually gone for them to win. And it was a difficult choice in some ways because you take a look at France, you take a look at Portugal, Italy, the defending champions. There are some strong teams in there. As for England, I'm not too sure who made those odds, but taking a look at the way we played against Iceland with Southgate as manager, I sadly don't have confidence that we will win the whole thing. It would be wonderful if we could try and go far, but I just cannot see it happening. Germany to win it for me.
Yeah. Chris, England 4-1, or is it going to be English hearts broken again?
in it. I mean, I was on Talksport on Tuesday night, and they asked me about England. And look, we're not going to win anything while we've got Harry Kane playing for us. I mean, this is the guy that left Tottenham to go to one of the biggest clubs in Europe to win trophies, and they didn't win a trophy. I mean, his first game was possibly going to win a cup, and he didn't. So he's just a bad luck charm. We ain't going to win it. Whoever made us favourites is off their rocker. These are obviously British bookies, and they don't want to sort of lose out just in case England do it. No, we're not going to win it. We'll get through the groups. We'll probably get to the quarters. Look, I'm a Southgate fan. I mean, everybody that has a go at Southgate, I don't get it, because he's probably been the most successful manager we've had. Yes, I know Alf Ramsey won it in '66, but then he also failed to get us to the Europeans after that. So, Southgate's got us to quarters, semis, and finals. So I don't see what all the fuss is about. It's just us British. We like to hate the managers, don't we? Whoever it is, we hate them. And so I don't buy into all that. But no, we're not favourites. For me, a lot of what Manny said there was true about Germany. You can never discount Germany at any major tournaments when they're on the home soil. And, I think they will do well. But to me, or for me, I don't want Portugal to do well because I can't stand Ronaldo. I hope he breaks his leg and gets sent off and they get knocked out of the group stage. But for me, if I've got to go for one, I'd have my money on France.
Okay, interesting. Craig, are you going down the bookies and putting 100 quid on 22-1 for Belgium then, or are you backing us, or are you going with?
Well, I'll tell you what, it'd be nice if I had 100 quid to put down on the bookies, to be fair. Cost of living crisis. But yeah, moving away from that, and of course, all the politics going on at the moment, I personally think this is the strongest England side for years. And I mean in my lifetime. It's probably the strongest England side, since 1966. We've got Bellingham, we've got Rice, Phil Foden, Harry Kane. I think once he gets, that honestly, it's just something that is latched itself onto him, and he needs to get rid of it. But I think he will do. He is a winner at the end of the day. He can't be.
He won?
Well, no, but he can't be held responsible for what happens at the other end of the pitch because he's doing
not a
his
winner. He's not a winner. He hasn't won anything. You can't say he's a winner.
But I honestly think that things will turn around. Now, the biggest danger for us in this competition, because I've seen all of these teams being mentioned, both myself and Matt put out our predictions and we went all the way through. Do go and watch those after this video. But one thing I would say is that every single team on this list has been mentioned by one person on the Facebook group or on Twitter or on Instagram. So it's not as clear cut as some people are making out. It's not just England and France. I personally think we can do it, but the French is the biggest hurdle to overcome. They will be, and I would put money on this one. I'd put money on this one over us actually winning the competition. But I would put money on the French, even if we did win it, being the top scorers of the competition. And that's because of that man in the centre. Kylian Mbappe, he is dangerous. But like ourselves, I don't particularly think the French defence is all that strong. I think, they're a decent side, but at the end of the day, they're not what, won the World Cup in 2018. Mbappe has grown a bit, but they have lost players. So I've got my fingers and toes crossed we can do this. But again, those odds are going to be change. Or what you've got to also think is there's going to be a lot of Englishmen putting down 100 quid on England to win the Euros, because we are in England, so it will inflate that figure a little bit. I personally think we are probably level pegging on France, In all honesty, that's the game of this tournament.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm not going to give you my views. If you want to hear that, then obviously check out the video that Craig was just on about. We'll put the links in the description to our predictions, and we'll move on to the next segment, which is the Golden Boot. Now, is our Golden Boot winner listed here? Chris, don't know if you want to start with this one, but can you see the Golden Boot on these odds
I think
here?
it's going to certainly be one of those, definitely. I don't know if it's going to be anybody on the right. Nobody there. Phil Foden, but he I don't think he's just going to get enough. I mean, Craig mentioned it just a second ago. It's hard to look past Mbappe, isn't it? Really. Kane could very well get the Golden Boot. Look, if it goes to penalties or we get a penalty, that's where probably most of his goals are going to come from. Ronaldo, God, I hope not. And how the hell Lukaku got 18-1, I do not know. I mean, come on. But I tell you who's an outside bet, and that is Jude Bellingham.
I thought that was good odds myself, to be fair. 25-1. That's not bad. Manny, is someone on here that's the top goal scorer for you, or are you going to surprise us with another name that's not mentioned?
I really can't look beyond Kylian Mbappe over here. And one name which probably shouldn't be discounted is, of course, Kai Havertz, as I said. Now, I'm not one of those people who will look at Mikel Arteta and say that he was able to turn a sow's ear into a silk purse necessarily, because he was scoring goals at Chelsea. And for the beginning of that season, last season that is, he was playing Kai as more of a midfielder where he looked like a duck out of water. And the problem is that although Kai Havertz does score goals which are more or less tap-ins, he also has missed some really outrageous sitters. I will say, though, that in the run-up to down the stretch near the end of the season, he was scoring a lot more frequently. And clearly under Nagelsmann, he seems to have found something resembling a sort of a groove. So I certainly wouldn't mind if he's wouldn't be surprised rather if he's up there at the very end as one of the top strikers of the tournament. He might possibly be an outside bet to win the whole thing. And that could be an outside pick. But as far as Mbappe is concerned, I don't think you can overlook him. In the World Cup, he was magnificent. He still scores goals. The only thing that goes against Mbappe is his own attitude. I know that Chris isn't really a fan of a certain Portuguese bloke that will not be named. Well, there's no need because, I mean, he's already named on that slide anyway. But Mbappe has been described in some quarters as being a little bit surly. And the way he left PSG, he'll always be remembered as having left PSG under a cloud. And nothing real. He hasn't really, I don't think he's endeared himself to the French supporters. And it wouldn't be surprising, mind you, if PSG actually go on to win the Champions League without him. When you make someone as high profile as Mbappe or Ronaldo the focal point of your team, it seldom brings you really, really good results, if ever. And I know that people are going to say that Portugal won the Euros with Ronaldo, but if we remember correctly, Ronaldo actually missed most of the match, having gone off injured. So I think Mbappe might end up winning it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kai Havertz is up there. I don't think Giroud has much of a chance. I think he's become a little bit more marginalized of late under Deschamps, and he's going to want to try and give the likes of Mbappe and Griezmann and a few others more and more opportunities. Bellingham, in the role that Southgate has him in, I don't see him scoring too many, I'm afraid. So I'm going to look for Mbappe to end up winning it.
Yeah, that's similar to what you
name
said.
that actually isn't on there, and I know he won't be on there because it's the Euros, but of course, if this wasn't the Euros, of course, you'd have Daka on there, wouldn't you, Craig?
Well, you would do, but he's he's not at the Euros, Chris.
Probably much to
be honest,
everybody's relief.
To be honest, he can't score for you anyway. So,
If you're going to go down that route, you might as well have Jamie Vardy back playing for England. He should be one of those contenders too.
I tell you what, if he was in, and this is what gets me, Kiefer Moore was a good shout as well. But because they were in the Premier League, you got no chance of getting picked.
mm-hmm. Well,
I do believe Kiefer Moore's a Welshman.
Is he?
He is, yeah. He is a Welshman. So,
well,
yeah, there we
I
are.
have no
They
idea
didn't
because I'm not an
qualify,
Ipswich
so-
fan, but there we go there.
But to give you my verdict, now this is where I always say you can actually bet, and of course, bet responsibly, guys. You can bet tactically on this. Now, Kylian Mbappe 5-1. I would say he has to be odds-on favourite, but I tell you why Romelu Lukaku is on there. Of course, he is an aging striker, but look at the group that Belgium are in. You would say that Belgium are going to win that out of Kansas. Slovakia, very, very, weak side in the competition. They've got there. Romania aren't what they used to be. Ukraine are a good side, but you would think that Romelu Lukaku will score quite a few goals in those games. When it comes to knockout, how far will Belgium get? Because they're not the same team that we've seen beforehand. Their golden generation has gone, and touch wood, this won't happen to England because effectively that golden generation has just gone to waste. Well, we've seen it. I think we've had a golden generation again back in 2002, but that didn't win anything. You had the likes of Beckham and Terry and Sol Campbell and all these players, that really come through at that period. David Seaman in goal, who, was without a shadow of a doubt one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best goalkeeper that I've seen in my lifetime, between the sticks for England. So there is always that danger, but coming back to it, I think that's why Romelu Lukaku isn't such a dopey bet as it looks. I would say Harry Kane has got a good chance. I think he will be clinical, but I wouldn't look past Phil Foden for ourselves. 33-1. He's scored multiple goals in multiple games for Manchester City. If played correctly, I think he could do the same for England. And Bellingham could really work, as a pairing, just behind Harry Kane. That could work quite nicely. So Bellingham and Phil Foden feed each other, really assist. So I wouldn't put it past Phil Foden. Morata, I can't see that in a million years. The main reason being is because Spain are in the group of death. That group, Spain, Croatia, Italy, Albania, okay, yeah, they're weak. But I would say that Croatia, very, very good side. Italy, very good side. Of course, the Spanish aren't bad, but I don't particularly think this is as strong. It's not strong Spanish side, in my opinion. I might be completely wrong, and they might go and win the whole thing. But that's why I don't think Morata will get it. But don't as well. There's one man that isn't on there. Luka Modric. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? But it's quite funny there that you mentioned the goalkeepers because Golden Glove contenders. Now, UEFA don't actually award a Golden Glove like they do at the World Cup.
Yeah.
But obviously at the last Euros, we had Jordan Pickford, who kept 5 clean sheets for England, and didn't concede a goal, I think, until, was it the quarter-final, the semi-final?
I think it was the game against Denmark, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the Denmark game, yeah. So, guys, just to put it out there, can Pickford do it for England again? Can he be the leading clean sheet holder at this tournament?
If a game goes to a penalty shootout, and therefore you concede, let's say, 5 penalties minimum, so you're knocked out. Does that count as against you in a Golden Glove award?
I don't think
I
it
think
does.
it does. No.
It isn't. No.
No, it doesn't. No.
He's got to be up there. I mean, whether you like him, and a lot of people don't like him, he's never let England down, has he?
No.
When I like Ramsdale, I've got to be honest with you, Manny might argue with that point. I remember how he played against us a couple of seasons ago, but I can't see beyond this guy starting, to be honest with you.
No, I can't. I mean, is he going to be the best keeper at the tournament, though? I mean, because if we look at a couple of others, just a couple of other names that are rated quite highly, how do you reckon he compares to these three?
Well, I tell you what, David Raya has had a very, very good season. It's not without its mistakes in there, but I think he has shown why Mikel Arteta has made that move. Donnarumma, we know what you get from him. He is quickly becoming the Buffon, isn't he? Of Italy. So the replacement, of course, but I think he's quickly becoming somebody who is very, very reliable, like Buffon was for many years for Italy. I personally think that whether or not Pickford has a strong Euros and also gets that, well, the fake Golden Glove award that doesn't exist, but if he actually does, effectively achieve the least goals conceded, I think it really depends on the style that Southgate puts out. Now, my personal opinion is that Southgate needs to go for these Euros, because at the same, we haven't got the strongest defense. I think we had a stronger defense back in Qatar. I think we had a stronger defense back in Russia, and we had a stronger defense back at the last Euros. But we have got by far the strongest attacking power. So if we take inspiration from what's going on in the Premier League and use attacking as the best form of defense, yes, Pickford will be right up there. If Southgate plays it safe and we start doing the passing, and we saw it against Italy in the final last time round, we went 1-0 up and we basically tried to control it. We didn't go after that second. If we went after that second, we would have won that game, hands down. If we try and contain a team, of that stature, and it's not just Italy, I would say Italy, Germany, you can put Belgium in there, Portugal, definitely France. If we try and control one of those, then we are conceding.
Interesting. Manny, what's your thoughts on these three in comparison to Pickford?
Well, if you would look carefully, Matthew, you would have seen me shake my head when Mr. Beazley was talking about how Gigi Donnarumma was becoming fast like his namesake, Signor Buffon. I'm afraid I'm going to have to disagree with that, because I was actually doing a preview, of course, earlier on, as I mentioned, and we were talking about how I've basically considered Gigi Donnarumma to be the most overrated goalkeeper in world football today. Because in that Euros, mind you, and people are entitled to call this sour grapes, because obviously his Italy team beat England in the final. But aside from those penalty saves, he hardly ever did very much. And there's a big part of me that believes that Jordan Pickford should have been right up there as one of the players of the tournament, never mind the goalkeeper of the tournament, for his outstanding performances, which, propped us up, really. I mean, we did have a pretty good team, but he was one of the more outstanding players in that tournament. As far as Donnarumma is concerned, ever since that Euros win, his Italy side have failed to qualify for the World Cup. They weren't there in Qatar, of course, and they struggled in comparison to qualify for these Euros against us and against the Ukraine. So there's a part of me that believes that he's 6'5", but he doesn't move very well for a big bloke, unlike a certain Emi Martinez, who, as all of you know, I rate very, very highly indeed. And he can be clumsy at times. He can be very, sloppy with his play. And there have been many occasions this season with PSG where he has been sloppy. So I don't think Donnarumma will be up there. And if he does get up there, it will be his defense that will be credited for that. I'm not sure why David Raya is up there, because I do not believe he will be the first choice for Spain. That honour will be going to Athletic Bilbao's Unai Simon, who I don't rate either. I think his handling is absolutely poor. But if there's one goalkeeper that I do rate, it's the one on the right, Monsieur Maignan.
Yeah.
Obviously, injuries have not really helped him in many ways. And if memory serves me right, he could have been France's first choice in Qatar, but missed out due to injury. So Monsieur Lloris had that honour again and went to the final, of course. I do like this fellow a great deal. And of course, he was able to do what Donnarumma couldn't do, and that is win a Scudetto with AC Milan. And I take a look at him, and in terms of ability, I think he's exceptionally agile. He has wonderful reflexes. He's not a very tall bloke, but he does move very well. I think he could perhaps struggle if teams decide to, put some really big centre forwards on him, especially for corners. If he isn't going to be that person who will dominate from the corners, then it could be a bit of a problem. But he should be right up there as one of the best. Regardless of whoever starts for Germany, whether it's Manuel Neuer or Marc-Andre ter Stegen, I think one of those two could very well end up being a Golden Glove contender. I don't think it'll be Neuer. I think, his best days are long gone. I don't think I was shocked when he was named in the squad, as I told you earlier. But I actually think that Maignan has an opportunity now to show what he's more than capable of and come out of the shadow of Hugo Lloris. And I'm really glad that you included him. I think he's going to be one of those goalkeepers who will end up really impressing, and he might end up being the goalkeeper of the tournament. And what they do have is an all-star 11 featuring the best players in each position of issued for the tournament. Don't be surprised if Magnan's name is right up there as the starting goalkeeper.
Mhm.
Manny,
Yeah, that's fair enough.
just quickly before we move on,
Let's quickly, because we're going to move on. So quickly, please, Craig.
you've just hit the nail right on the head, actually, about how England need to beat the French, because without a shadow of a doubt, we'll come up against them because of Maignan, and his height. I think we need to get those balls into the box. That is going to be the way to beat France at this tournament. And I think if teams work that out and know that and can do that, effectively, then France could find themselves in some hot water.
Yeah.
They most certainly could. I mean, he's 6'3", so he's not that short. But obviously, if you're 6'4", 6'5", it can make a bit of a difference. And I've seen him play. He just doesn't come out for corners as often as you'd like, but he does seem to be a very safe pair of hands. But obviously, if we had someone like a Kiefer Moore in our squad, and you and Matthew know very well, I'm sure Welsh fans will know very well, he's the type of striker you'd want for that.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely. If we take a look at the group stages then very quickly now for the predictions, obviously myself and Craig have done a couple of videos on that. But just quickly, Manny, who qualifies out of this group?
Well, I've gone for, I love Scotland, I really do, but I've actually got them finishing bottom of the group because I think the other three teams just have a little bit much more in terms of quality and cohesion in their team. Germany to finish top, Switzerland to come in second, and Hungary to finish third and be one of those teams that could very well end up qualifying as one of the best third-place teams.
Interesting. Well, Chris, can Scotland progress from this group at the Euros? Do you think
I've actually got them down as progressing? I've got them down as coming second. I just got a feeling they're on a bit of a roll. I think this could be there. I don't think they'll go far after that, but I've got Germany coming top, obviously. I think we all would have. But yeah, I think Scotland can cause a few upsets here. I know Switzerland are the perennial, making the way through and then getting knocked out in the first knockout game. I've actually got them coming bottom. But no, and I'm not a lover of Scotland because they're like, our main rivals. But yeah, I think they could surprise a few this time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally agree with you there. If we have a look at the next group, Group B.
Just briefly on that, though, I think without Lyndon Dykes, Scotland might struggle up front.
Yeah, that is true. But they do have a striker in there that bagged 30 odd goals in the Scottish Premier last season. So it'd be interesting to see who they start up front against Germany. Definitely. Group B: Spain, Italy, Croatia, and Albania. Chris, who goes through? Who would you say?
It's a surprise, first of all, to see Albania there. I think they won the group, didn't they, somehow? But fair play to them. I've got Spain and Croatia going through.
Interesting. Craig, who from your predictions, just very quickly, who did you say in this group?
I went for Italy and Croatia.
That's right.
Ooh.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting group, this one. I think I went Italy, Spain. I might be wrong. I think I went Italy, Spain on this one. But Manny, can the Italians win back-to-back Euros?
You know, this team obviously is a far cry from the team that won the Euros and had that wonderful unbeaten run under Roberto Mancini. As I think I mentioned earlier, everything went completely, belly up, and they failed to qualify for the World Cup as a result. Under, I think it's Spalletti. It's not Spalletti who's the coach, is it? I think I might have forgotten the name. But I think this particular team obviously have done their best to move on from some of the more celebrated players. And of course, Leonardo Bonucci has joined Cellini in announcing his retirement from international football. So this team will probably be a bit of a younger team. And I am really shocked to see Jorginho there. And it is, in fact, Spalletti who is the head coach. So now I've learned my lesson. Trust my instincts all the time. And I think the most capped player in this squad is, in fact, Donnarumma. And it's amazing to think that he's only 25 years old and has 62 caps already. But it's probably because there are no other real options. I do like Meret from Napoli, and Vicario has had rave reviews for his performances with Tottenham. But there is a decent blend of youth and experience, and they have been in pretty good form ever since securing their qualification. They didn't have it really good against England, mind you, but I think this team could very well go reasonably far in the tournament. I actually have them qualifying along with Croatia topping the group and Italy coming in second. And I don't think they'll defend it, but they will be right up there if they can continue to get their act together and really live up to their reputation.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Will they be the first team to ever win a back-to-back Euros? Does anybody know?
Nope. That honor goes to Spain, who won it in 2008 and 2012.
Of course,
and a bit of Bournemouth-related trivia for you. Andoni Areola was supposed to be a part of the Spain squad for that 2012 tournament, but sadly got injured. Otherwise, he would have been a European champion.
Well, there you go. There's a little Bournemouth fact chucked in there. Group C, the group that obviously counts, and obviously football is coming home, as we all know. But let's not touch on England for the moment. The other three teams, Chris, do you think any of those could possibly win the group?
Yes, because you just don't know with England, do you? And that's the thing, and we've still got Kane playing for us, haven't we? So I think the only one that might trouble them. I mean, I was very out in the World Cup. I thought Serbia would go further than they did, and then they sort of all blew up in their faces in the knockouts. But looking at that, I can't look past England and Denmark being 1 and 2 in whichever order it happens to be.
Yeah, no, interesting. I saw an interview with Vidic, who used to play for United, and he does reckon that Mitrovic, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yep, that is.
Mitrovic, he reckons he's going to be quite a handful, and that side have a very, very attacking-minded team and could cause England some problems. So it will be interesting to see what happens during that game. But yeah, I've gone England, Denmark from my group on my predictions. Craig,
Yeah,
just very briefly, who have you put as the two to qualify from this group?
I think you can't look at any other two teams apart from England and Denmark. I think Serbia, they're not the same side that, of course, back in 2010, they had a good tournament. They did look very, very good. They've been quite consistent, I think, if I'm right in thinking, in qualifying. But I can't see them doing very much. And Slovenia, I don't know much about Slovenia at all. It'll be one of those games. So I can only see it being England and Denmark. To be honest, Denmark are the only team who I could say, well, could take our place at the top of this group. And they're very, very capable of doing that. They're a very, very good side. So we're going to be at our best. We're going to have to be at our best when we play Denmark. We normally get the better over them. The other two shouldn't give us too many worries.
No. Manny, do you agree with that? Or is there a surprise in the bag in this group?
I would agree to an extent because I've actually got Denmark topping the group. I take a look at the Danish team, and obviously Chris will be very pleased to see a certain Kasper Schmeichel anchoring the team, of course. And he might very well go on to usurp his father by earning more and more caps for Denmark. I still think that he will end up becoming their first choice goalkeeper for the World Cup should they qualify. And Christian Eriksen is still proving to be more than capable. We all remember those horrific scenes 4 years ago, or I should say 3 years ago, when he collapsed, and we all know what very nearly transpired. Thankfully, he was able to recover. It's funny to think that at 32, we're talking about how he should be retiring. But, he's still going to be an important player for Denmark. And I actually believe that Denmark will have their sights set on revenge for the semi-final 3 years ago. And I have to say, and I think we can all agree with me, that the behavior of our fans during that tournament, whether it was abusing that poor German girl or firing a laser beam at Kasper Schmeichel when Harry Kane was taking his penalty, or the disgusting scenes before the final, as heartbroken as I was to see England lose, those fans wouldn't have been worthy of seeing England win. A collective disgrace. But Denmark to top the group, England to come in second, shocker. And it will be, I want to say, Serbia to finish third and Slovenia to prop everything up.
Well, Chris, can I convince you that we can win something with Kane or not? Or are you absolutely adamant it's not happening?
You can try and convince me. Go on. The floor is yours, Matthew. I mean, no, I know I jest a little bit. Of course I do. He's got the golden boot in his hand. That's the only thing he's won. I asked a question, literally, I think it was at the end of last season. Who is leaving a bigger legacy behind them, Harry Kane or Jamie Vardy? And I'm sorry, it's Jamie Vardy 100% of the time, because Harry Kane has not won. And winning the golden boot 2 or 3 times, and even for England, is nothing. He happened to score a few more goals, maybe some penalties in the games. He's done nothing, really, has he? And I know it's not just him; it's the team that he's in. But no other player leaves Tottenham and goes to the biggest club in Germany that wins everything just by turning up and then fails to win anything. No, we're not going to win it while we've got him in, purely because he's just a bad luck charm.
I agree with you as well on the Jamie Vardy thing. If Harry Kane does not win either the Euros or the World Cup, because he'll be at the next World Cup without a shadow of a doubt, then you could say that Jamie Vardy has by far surpassed his career. Now, Jamie Vardy would have probably retired by the end, start of the next World Cup.
You never know with him.
You never know. He might keep going. He looks after himself. But I could say if Harry Kane does not win either the Euros or the World Cup, you're spot on, because what Vardy did with Leicester was take a side who, are unfashionable, and sorry, Chris, but it's the truth.
No,
And
no,
you
no.
managed to take a club,
Yeah.
to success, which is something, taking Tottenham to success is not like taking Leicester City. So that personally, I can 100% agree with. This is the time Harry Kane needs to win something, either now or in the US, Canada, and Mexico in 2 years' time, which, to be honest, is the World Cup that I said to Harry Redknapp that we'll win.
Boom! First name drop.
There's the old mic drop.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think both of. Sorry, sir. Go ahead.
no. What I was going to say is you've got Vardy's won 4 trophies. Luke Thomas, who was dismissed by Sheffield United in the January transfer window and sent back to us, has got more trophies than Harry Kane. But you've got to pick him. Of course, you've got to pick him. You can't not pick him. But it just seems like he's just going to be one of those players that, whatever he does during his career, he will end his career maybe without a trophy. And I think he'll look back on that and thinking, maybe I should have left Tottenham before I did.
Yeah. Manny, do you want the last word on this one?
I think both of you gentlemen have been very harsh on Harry Kane. I mean, obviously, he has been a bit of a hate figure for England ever since that missed penalty against France and Qatar. And seeing Kylian Mbappe celebrate the way he did, I was very glad that Argentina beat France in the final. I know that as an England fan, it's anathema to want Argentina to win anything, but I had to pick my poison. I love Lionel Messi, and of course, my guy Emiliano Martinez, goalkeeper of the tournament, well deserved. But Kane actually went to Munich and was scoring goals for fun, left, right, and centre. And the fact that Bayern were flattering to deceive was a result of Bayer Leverkusen having a magnificent season under Xabi Alonso, but also with Tuchel leading the team to an absolutely dreadful season in the Bundesliga. I just think the team wasn't quite able to respond to his tactics. They just weren't able to gel. And let's bear in mind that had it not been for Jamal Musiala, who could very well be one of Germany's stars of the tournament, Bayern wouldn't have even won the previous Bundesliga title. They ended up just pipping Dortmund to the post, if you remember. Now, the only thing that might have given Tuchel some credit this season was that brilliant Champions League run, which was ended in controversial fashion, of course, by Real Madrid in the semi-finals. But it was never going to work under Tuchel. I do believe that under a new Bayern Munich coach, Kane will continue to score goals, but he will win some silverware. So all this talk about how Jamie Vardy will leave a bigger legacy, I think we can put that to bed once Kane starts winning things with Bayern Munich.
Has he got time to win 5 trophies, though?
Let's see. Bundesliga, German Cup, maybe a Champions League. Can do it again next season.
Will it mean the same, though? Because apart from this season, that's like saying Brendan Rodgers is a fantastic manager because he wins so much at Celtic. If you go to Germany and play for Bayern Munich and don't win anything, you get sacked as a manager. Look at Tuchel, and it's the same. We know is if you go to Scotland and you're playing for Celtic or Rangers, you're not going there to improve your game. You're going there to win trophies because they're one of those two teams is going to win something. Would Harry Kane have done, what Vardy did at Leicester is the question. Possibly, yes. And I don't hate the guy. Like I say, I hate him when he's playing. Well, he's not playing for Tottenham now, but when he was playing for Tottenham, I hated him. Love him when he's playing for England because obviously he scores the goals for us. But like I say, he's got to go out there and win 5 trophies to get more than Jamie Vardy has to date. So has he got time for 5? And will it mean as much with it being in Germany?
Ooh, good question.
If he come to Bayer Leverkusen and won it with them this season, yeah, I'd have been the first to say, well done, mate. But he's not. He's gone to. It's like going to Paris Saint-Germain and winning the French, French league. You kind of expect it. As I'm sorry, it's not a. He's not gone to Bayern Munich to try and improve his game. He's gone to win trophies, which is fair enough. Don't get me wrong. That's fair enough. You can't blame him for that. But I don't think what he achieves at Bayern Munich would be as impressive as what Jamie Vardy has done at Leicester.
Final word
Right.
on this. If Kane wins the Euros, or even better still, the World Cup in 2 years' time, that surpasses anything in my mind.
Here.
Well, on that note,
That depends whether you prefer club football or international football. And
that
I'd
is true.
probably tend to say 75% of people prefer club football.
Yeah, interesting debate there, but let's move it on. Let's take a look at the next group, because I reckon we could be here for a month of Sundays on this one. But everyone's got a valid point on it, to be fair.
Sitting on the fence, doing the best Jack, Matthew.
Group D then. Holland or the Netherlands, France, Poland, and Austria. Now, just briefly on this one, Craig. Go on then. Who would you? Well, who have you picked in your prediction?
I went for France and the Netherlands. To be honest, I can't look past France. And to be honest, I think, hand on heart, I think the French will, get some very, very heavy wins in this group. I say the Netherlands, and I think there could be a few upsets there. I don't think they'll run away with it. It's not going to be two teams get run away, with one with maximum points and one with 6 points. It's not going to be like that. I think France, though, will get the 9.
Yeah. Chris, you got a surprise with this
I
group?
haven't, I'm afraid, no.
No.
It pains me to admit, but I agree with Craig. But the interesting thing is I've got France winning it and Netherlands second. Just come out today, Kylian Mbappe out of training. Sickness bug rips through France camp days before opener. So I don't know how serious that is. But the manager, Mbappe, and another striker are all out with the sickness bug.
I think John Stones was actually out with a sickness bug yesterday, so I don't know how bad it's if it striked any more.
I still see France going through this. Netherlands second, Poland third, Austria fourth.
Yeah, no, definitely. Manny, this one I thought would be an interesting question for you. Some of the pundits are asking, how does Memphis Depay make the Holland squad when someone like Kluivert misses out, who's had a good season at Bournemouth? Now, can you shed any views on this one?
It's the same reason why Dominic Solanke isn't in the England squad, I'm afraid. And it's tragic, really, Matthew, because I've said it on many occasions, on cherry picking especially, that Justin Kluivert has been one of the purchases of the season, definitely your purchase of the season. And the way he's been playing has been absolutely, magnificent. But with Memphis Depay, you've got someone who has the experience, the proven quality, and whenever it comes to major tournaments, he's always stepped up and performed. I think the one thing in Kluivert's favor is that he should have at least one or two more major tournaments in him before he ends up calling it quits, and he will have more opportunities to, prove himself, obviously. I just think that circumstances meant that with Kluivert joining Bournemouth this season and with Depay having been in the squad having been in the Netherlands squad for the best part of a few years, it was always going to be difficult for Kluivert to, muscle his way in. But if Kluivert can continue his continuous form and be a lot more consistent next season, there's no reason why he shouldn't be considered by Ronald Koeman to come back. And it would be wonderful seeing, Patrick's son represent the Netherlands once again and go some way to try and, continue the legacy, a little bit like how Kasper Schmeichel has been able to do with Denmark, following in his father's illustrious footsteps. So I think it's sad for Kluivert, just as it's sad for Dominic Solanke, but Kluivert still has time, and I think he just needs to focus on enjoying his football and playing with that smile on his face, which we see there on the slide. And if he does that, you sometimes miss out on smaller things because it leads you to bigger things ahead. Look forward to 2026.
Yeah, no, excellent, Manny. Yeah, thanks for that. And just to, in case no one's seen it, but I don't know if they're aware of it either, but there's a podcast with Sky Sports called The Football Museum. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but Patrick Kluivert is this week's guest. And he speaks quite fondly about his dad and his first goal and his first football shirt, and just goes back through his life, which is a nice, interesting little piece. If anyone wants to check that one out, it's on Sky Sports, and it's called The Football Museum. Group E, Belgium, Romania. Forgive me, I've forgotten that team.
Slovakia.
That's it, Slovakia, and of course Ukraine. Manny, who qualifies from this group?
I've gone for Belgium and the Ukraine to go through, Slovakia to finish third, and be potentially one of the third best placed, the four best third place teams, with Romania propping up the group. The reason why I've gone for Belgium is obviously without Thibaut Courtois, they might be a little bit weak at the back, although Casteels, Sells, and Kaminski will have a lot to say about that. But I think what Tedesco has done with the squad is he's gotten rid of a lot of the egos, in my opinion, and has certainly gotten Lukaku performing to somewhere near his best. A lot will depend on Kevin De Bruyne if he's able to be at his influential best, but Leandro Trossard is someone I do rate very highly. I think he could have a very big influence on the squad. And as far as the Ukraine are concerned, you can never, ever write them off for anything. I think, I know that politics and sports shouldn't mix very much, but this is a team, obviously, which wins hearts everywhere they play. And they certainly, play well as a unit and do whatever they need to do. And I'm delighted that they are they'll be playing in another European championship. They might not have done too well the last time around. I think we beat them 4-0, if memory serves me right. But this time around, I don't think they're going to go too far in the tournament, but they should definitely qualify in second. And Slovakia, certainly some names to remember are Skriniar and Dubravka, the Newcastle United goalkeeper who ended up playing quite a few games for them this season. Dubravka, of course, will be on the move. I think Newcastle United are going to look for another goalkeeper to challenge Nick Pope, and there is no way that Dubravka will want to play second or even third fiddle over there. So if he has a good Euros, he could have a lot of clubs interested in him. And he's not too bad with his feet. If he does too well, I'm a little bit surprised that Arsenal haven't really gone in for him yet. But that's my order. Belgium, Ukraine, Slovakia, Romania.
Cool. Cheers, Manny. Just quickly, Craig, before I move on to Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Our Ukrainian defender there.
Yes.
Right. Now, I know you're a big fan of his. Now,
yes.
Very briefly, if someone hasn't seen him play before, what would you expect to see from him at the Euros this year?
What you expect to see is somebody who's very strong, can read the game very, very well. If anybody's got time after watching this, have a look at the highlights of our game at home against Crystal Palace and his tackle on Erebeshi Eze. And he had no divine right to get to that ball, but he did. He's a solid defender, and dare I say it, he is world class. He will only get better. He won't be staying at Bournemouth his entire career. Unfortunately, somebody big will. Of course, Man City and Real Madrid have been rumoured in the past. How true that is, don't know. But at the same time, it shows the calibre of the player that he is, and we've got, and the Ukraine have got. So Ukraine are going to be a very, very good, solid side in this group, and I think there's only two sides really that you could say will go through this.
Yeah, cool. Well, for you, Chris, are the pundits wrong to write off Belgium? Now, a lot of them are saying that obviously their age, they're not the golden generation that they were. Or do you think they've got a chance to go far in the tournament?
I always think they've got a chance to go far. They're not going to win it. That's I mean, it's like when we had our golden generation, isn't it? After that, everybody said, "Oh, well, that was the chance," and all that. I mean, any team's got the chance. If you get through the groups, you're into knockout stages, and we know what knockout football's like. Anybody can go far. So I think they're right to totally write them off. I've got them going through winning the group, Ukraine second as well. Will they go on and win it? I don't think so. Will they probably get through to the quarters, something like that? They've still got, look at the guy that's on there, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, they've got some good players in there. So there's no reason if they all click on the day. There's no, and Lukaku might, turn up and score a few. And there's no reason why they can't go far. So yes, I think write them off. I say don't write them off to win it, but don't write them off to do well in it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Last group then, Turkey, Georgia, Czech Republic, and of course Portugal. Chris, this one, is it an easy group to decide who will qualify from it? Or
I don't think Turkey are going to stuff anybody.
There's the pun. There it is.
There it is.
You couldn't expect anything less, really.
If I hadn't said that, if whoever would have gone first would have got it in. As much as I don't like one player for Portugal, well, there's a couple I don't like, if I'm honest with you. I can't see past them to win it. I've then got Czechia as going through second, Turkey third, Georgia fourth. Yeah, I can't see beyond Portugal for winning this group, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And obviously, if you want to know what Craig thinks, check his predictions video out. I'm not going to let him talk on this one.
Fair enough.
Question for you, Manny. Ronaldo, obviously everyone's saying about his age, but he's still fit as a fiddle. He's still playing and scoring goals. Are we going to see a lot of him at this Euros, or is he going to be used as a kind of an impact player, or what do you think?
I do believe that if Bobby Martinez has any sense, he will use him as more of an impact player, because obviously when Fernando Santos had him at the World Cup in Qatar, his impact as a starter was minimal in every single sense of that word, and he quite literally flattered to deceive. And there's a tagline there. He bagged 2 goals against Republic of Ireland in the friendly this week. Is the Republic of Ireland, with all due respect to them. I love the Irish team. I've got some really good mates who are big Irish fans. Shout out to, of course, Del Boy Gunner TV and the likes of Kyle Walsh as well. But, Ronaldo really has to be managed. And the biggest problem that I have with him, and another reason why, like Christopher, I do not like him, is that he will always insist on being the star of the show when there are several other really talented players in that Portuguese squad who are worthy of game time than he is. And it's just as well that he has been first choice during the qualification process, but most of the other teams in that qualification group have players who, quite frankly, aren't even good enough to play for Accrington Stanley. And so it was really nothing more than a case of Ronaldo stat padding himself, becoming the first player to earn 200 international caps and getting more and more goals. And we still have some people having the nerve to say Ronaldo will always be a better goal scorer than Lionel Messi. Well, Lionel Messi is more of a playmaker and has a better all-round game. I think Ronaldo will get some more game time than he did in Qatar. He will start some more games, but I don't think he'll score as many as he would like, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting marginalized as the tournament goes on.
Yeah, okay. Cheers for that, Manny. I agree with you, to be honest. I think he's going to be more of kind of an impact player, but yeah, he'll probably get some more game time than he did at the World Cup. But if we can now have a look at what's being classed as the dark horses of the tournament. These are some articles from an online website called Goal. And I'll let Craig take it away with reading through it.
There we are. I'm always the narrator, aren't I? So Croatia still have plenty of talent. So this is from Joe Strange. You can get odds of 40-1 on Croatia to win the tournament, which feels way too high for a country who finished third at the World Cup just 18 months ago. Sure, they're coming to the end of a cycle, with arguably their greatest ever player, Luka Modric, set for his swan song in Germany. But there's plenty of talent in Zalto Dalic's squad, and perhaps more crucially, an incredible ability to consistently punch above their weight. Getting out of Group B will be tough, but if they manage that, then they'll fancy their chances.
So, Chris, do you think that they are a potential dark horse, or do you think that's? I think it's a little bit harsh on them being a dark horse, really. But
I have. I mean, like I said earlier, I've got them qualifying out of Group B at Italy's expense. I like Croatia, like it says there. 18 months ago, we all remember, don't we?
Mhm.
They made it to the final. Yeah, I don't think. I think it's too soon to write the team off. It'd be interesting to see how they go on after Modric was retired, because he is a talisman for them. But I think, I'm not going to. Again, they're not one of the favourites, but if you got the money as an outside bet, you could put it on worse.
No, definitely. Manny, harsh as an underdog, or would you agree with goal rating them as an underdog?
Exceptionally harsh, because I've actually got them qualifying as group winners and going reasonably far in the tournament. Whether they will go as far as I would like them to go will remain to be seen. But the one thing about Croatia that we've seen from tournaments gone by is that they have a wonderful knack of being able to play as a unit. Yes, there are some wonderful stars in that team, but with Croatia, what you see is what you get. The whole will always be greater than the sum of their parts. And they just, they're a team, Matthew, whose players really love playing for their nation. They love playing together for their nation. And Zlatko Dalic, I'm sorry to, trip you up there, Craig. I think that's how you pronounce it. But Zlatko Dalic also is a bit of a taskmaster who has gotten rid of some players who have dared to criticize him or fall foul of him. But he does have the unwavering loyalty and respect of all of his players. And this particular Croatian squad does have a wonderful blend of youth and experience. I think one particular, and I'm really shocked to see Ivan Perisic in the squad, but obviously since leaving Spurs and going back to Croatia to play with Hajduk Split, he seems to have recovered some of his form. And, with a guy of his experience and proven quality, 33 goals for Croatia, the most in the squad among active players. Luka Modric is, of course, second with 25. You just can't leave him out. And this particular squad, of course, as I've said, excellent blend of youth and experience. And with people like Gvardiol being a key player for Manchester City, and also a key player, of course, in the World Cup as one of their younger players, I can't look beyond this team going reasonably far. But the reason why people call them dark horses is, of course, they're in a group of death at the moment with Italy and Spain. But I actually don't rate this current Spanish team. I think they're a pretty poor version of the Spanish teams gone by. And, De La Fuente will have a real problem trying to motivate that team to go really far. And they were very fortunate, mind you, to go as far as they did in the World Cup. And Morocco actually disposed of them handily in the second round. So I think Croatia actually should have a chance to go reasonably far. They could make the semi-finals if things go their way, but the quarterfinals might be a more realistic prediction for them. I'd love them to try and make the final if possible, but I just don't know if I can see that happening. And even if Modric retires and Perisic retires, there will be some new players to come in, and there are some other players who are good enough to continue taking the team forward. Dalic might still continue as coach. Croatian football is in very good hands, you see.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I would personally be a bit insulted if I was playing for Croatia being described as a dark horse, but I thought that was quite an interesting article when I read that one. But on to the next one. Turkey is a dark horse. Craig, take it away.
Turkey are playing some lovely football. So James Westwood said this: Turkey qualified for the Euros after finishing ahead of Croatia in qualifying, which is no mean feat. And they have been playing some lovely football since drafting in former Roma and Italy striker Vincenzo Montella as their head coach last September. Montella has a strong midfield at his disposal, led by Inter playmaker Hakan Çalhanoğlu, while Arda Güler could be poised for a breakout tournament after an impressive end to his debut campaign at Real Madrid. They will also be rewarded with a favourable knockout stage draw if they can top their group ahead of Portugal. And apologies to anybody from Turkey for getting the pronunciation completely wrong there.
I think Turkish from AFTV might want to have a word with you, mate.
Yes, he might do. He might do.
Yeah, definitely. Chris, could Turkey be a dark horse that end up getting to the semi-final?
No, not for me. That said, I've got to sort of counter that with the fact that I've not really seen much of them. I don't really know that much about them. I've got them coming third, so they could always, get that one of the better third place teams. I mean, when you look at who's in that group, in Portugal, we've just said, haven't we? We're probably going to walk away with it. Czechia, I've got them as second, but I think Turkey, when you look at the other team, it's Georgia. I think the worst they're going to do is come third. But they've always flattered to deceive Turkey, haven't they? They've never really lived up to put their potential, I don't think, over the years. And they've always fallen short. And I can't see this competition being any different, to be honest with you.
They got cheated by Brazil all those years ago.
What was that, Craig?
That was the Rivaldo corner thing. So it was wasn't it a sending off? Manny might be able to correct me on this, but I think it was a sending off.
I do believe it was a sending off for the Turkish defender. You're right, Craig.
Yeah, but nothing. Rivaldo just hit the ground, and there was absolutely zero contact. There was nothing in it. So yeah, very, very, very harshly done.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the next one. Well, actually, no, before we do, Craig.
Yes.
How much will this man be a miss for
Very
the
much
Turks
so.
this year?
Very much so. I think, he's been excellent since he's come to Bournemouth. I think, he is a player that, is going to be a real good signing for us. He's a little bit like Solanke, but I think, a bit more of a target man. I think there is, aspects of the game that he needs to work on, but he's going to be a massive miss for Turkey. And but I think Turkey do have, a decent squad. They've always been, a side that when they've qualified for tournaments, which, let's be honest, they should have qualified for more than they have. They've always seemed to do all right. But yeah, he's going to be a massive miss for Turkey. And yeah, gutted for Enesu now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, he's been fantastic, hasn't he, since he's been with Bournemouth?
Yeah.
And I think as an option, he's going to be a massive miss for them. Romania, then, another one that they said that could be potentially a dark horse, Craig.
So Romania are a fearsome defensive unit. So Matt O'Connor Simpson said, Romania look like they might be a really solid tournament team. Not only did they finish top of their qualifying group, they did so without losing a single game. The football won't be particularly exciting, but they're a fearsome defensive unit. And as the past few iterations of this tournament have shown, 3 dull draws can be enough to get you through the group stages. After that, anything can happen. I've got my opinions on Romania, to be honest.
Go on in very quickly.
To be honest, I think this Matt O'Connor Simpson is probably being quite sentimental. I think they are a lot weaker than they were in the past. They were an excellent, to be honest, at the World Cup that we didn't qualify for. They were very, very good, and yeah, they're one of those sides that have just been in the dark for a long, long period of time. Um, but but that you can't ever rule anybody out. Let's be honest. Did anybody see Greece winning it? Did anybody see Denmark winning it after they were let in pretty much via the back door all those years ago?
Hmm.
Nobody saw that. So if Romania, went on a little run, was very, very defensive, very compact, played their cards right, there's you could have another surprise winner. It's unlikely. It's unlikely because the strength of the teams at the top, like England and France, but you can't ever rule it out.
No, very good point. And Chris and Manny, for me, they're not a Romania side that going back sort of 20 years ago with the likes of Hadji and Dan Pachescu and players like that. They don't seem as strong as they did quite some time ago. Either of these two, are they going to be a surprise package for the final, like Craig was saying?
Well,
I can't see. Sorry, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I just had Anton showed literally before I came live here, and he'd drawn Romania out in his work sweepstake, and I absolutely took the piss out of him. So I can't suddenly say that they're gonna do well. I mean, look at I agree with you there. They're not the Romania that we remember. The players that you just mentioned. But look at the group that they got out of: Switzerland, Israel, Belarus, Kosovo, Andorra. Not exactly the powerhouse teams of Europe, are they? I mean, you would hope, any, decent team would have got out of that group. Yes, they didn't lose a game, but they actually drew 4 and won 6 of their games. Yes, they only conceded 5 goals. So yes, the defense looked good, but are Switzerland, Israel, Belarus, Kosovo, or Andorra known for scoring lots of goals? No. So they're not. I've got them coming third. They may sneak in as one of the third best. I don't think so, because you got Belgium and Ukraine. I think will dominate. And it depends. I mean, look, you get through as a one of the better third place teams. You then get a very good draw in the next round, and you manage to get through. You've then suddenly got the momentum with you.
Yeah.
So who knows? But for me, no. I mean, I'm not impressed with where they've come from for this tournament.
Yeah, Manny.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Chris. I think he's hit the nail on the head there. And, you also made a good point, Matthew, when you said that this Romanian team is nowhere near the ilk of the Romanian teams of yesteryear, especially the 1994 vintage. Of course, Bulgaria reached the semi-finals of that tournament. Look where they are now, of course.
Yeah.
But, I take a look at the squad as well, and they may also perform well as a unit, but I also don't see any players capable of really taking a game by the scruff of the neck and really, leaving any kind of an impact. And, one name that does stick out over here is Radu Dragutin, the Tottenham Hotspur defender, who our dear friend Eugene from Spurs Eurasia TV will know very well indeed. The captain is Nikolai Stanciu, who has been around the block quite a bit. Obviously, his team's most capped player and has played for the likes of Anderlecht and Sparta Prague. Not exactly big clubs in that respect. They're also going to be another team that obviously play well as a unit, but I also remember they did qualify for a previous European tournament. I don't recollect whether it was 2016 or 2020. I'll have to sort of look that up for you right now. But they didn't really do as well as people had hoped they would do. And in fact, I actually do have Wikipedia with me, and they did in fact qualify for 2016, but they finished 19th in the group stage with 1 draw and 2 defeats. And I'm not too sure how the squad has evolved since then. So I've got them finishing fourth. I really don't see them doing too much in this particular tournament. And I just think that this tournament might be, just a case of them making up the numbers. I can't see them doing too much, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think I agree with both you and Chris on what you both said there. And another one, as you can see, there's a picture of Milos Kerkez there, so it must be Hungary. Over to you, Craig.
So Hungary could spring a surprise, and this was written by Amy Ruskay. I think I've got that right. Sorry, Amy. Hungary got a killer of a draw in 2021, but hardly disgraced themselves by taking points off both France and Germany, and that was without talisman Dominic Szoboszlai. 3 years on, this draw is much kinder. The Liverpool start is even better, and Marco Rossi's side certainly have it in them to finish second in Group A. From there, they'll be full of confidence and facing teams with much more pressure on them. They could spring a surprise.
So, Manny and Chris, do you think they'll spring us a surprise, or could this be the side that does agree and get to the final, or are you just thinking they're here to make the numbers up?
The thing about Hungary, Matthew, is that England fans will have very good reason to remember them. They, of course, thrashed us 4-0 at Molineux with a certain Mr. Ramsdale having a day to forget. And, that particular team, obviously, with Szoboszlai being a key part of it, has been rated quite highly. I think maybe in recent times, I don't know if their form has been quite as good, but this side, mind you, are going to be a team that will be expected to really get some good results. And if memory serves me right, in 2016, they actually topped their group, which included Austria and Ronaldo's Portugal. And that Portuguese team was very lucky to have actually gotten into the knockout stages via the back door. But that Hungary team was very, very impressive. And Gabor Kirai in the Portuguese goal had a pretty decent tournament, given that it was his international swan song with the Magyars. I think that's how you pronounce it. And since then, the team has evolved quite well. They obviously did very well in the Nations League. And this time around, of course, they're going to be a team that's expected to do very well indeed. I do actually have them, qualifying very well. And they're in Group A, actually. They are in Group A with Germany and Switzerland. I actually have them finishing third, but also qualifying definitely as one of the best third-place teams and really doing quite well. So whether they'll spring a surprise and really go far, let me put it this way. They will certainly qualify for the knockout stages and give their second-round opponents a good run for their money. If they can reach the quarterfinals, that would be a shot in the arm. But I don't see them going further than that.
Chris?
Yeah, I was just trying to look then on Google. Was Hungary, not, and I don't know if this was the World Cup or a Euros, but they were in a group with, I've probably got this wrong, with Germany and Italy. They were in the last group, and on the last day of the qualifying groups, so all three of them topped the table at some point. Or am I totally making that up? I'm probably totally making that up, aren't I? I can see that looks in your face.
I'm going to have a look for you. You might be. You never know. You might be right.
I had a feeling that it was like it was again a group of death, and on the last day, at any point, one of those three teams were top of the group.
Something like that rings a bell.
Look, they I've got them like Manny. I've got them coming third in the group. And I think they'll go through as one of the better third-place teams. Again, they didn't have the easiest of groups. I mean, they got Serbia in there. Again, though, they didn't lose a match. And they only conceded 7 goals. So, yeah, I think, again, will they go on and win it? I wouldn't be disappointed because, you know what? I'd like to see a team outside of one of the big countries actually go on and win it. So, yes, they could. I think they possibly could spring a surprise. Depends how the draw goes for them, of course.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You are making that up with the qualifying, but I seem to think you're not making that up, because I think, wasn't that to do with the Nations League?
Yes, the very same Nations League, if memory
That's
serves
it.
me
I'm
right.
sure, yeah.
England was in that group. If I think maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I don't remember.
Yeah, we got relegated from it, didn't we? Moving
I
swiftly on.
don't
Ah.
it wasn't a group that England were in.
Yeah, this was at a tournament, wasn't it? Was it?
It
It wasn't
was.
qualifying. It wasn't qualifying. It was at a tournament.
Was
It
it
was
a
a.
tournament? Yes.
I think it was
Yeah.
a tournament, but I can't think which one it was. I got a funny
think it was
feeling.
the World Cup, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I
because
think it was a World Cup. To be honest with you.
I seem to remember on that last day, the last game of the groups, and they were in the last group. I just
They
seem
kept
to remember it being fantastic because Germany. I think it was Germany went through, but by the skin of the teeth.
Yeah, have to do
Like
a bit
I
of
say,
research on that.
I'll go and have a drink and sit in a corner somewhere.
Well, Ukraine, Craig, do you want to take this one?
Yep, definitely. So Ukraine have the talent to cause a serious problem. And this is from Christian Davis. Ukraine will have the backing of the neutrals as they head to Germany against the backdrop of the ongoing conflict in their homeland. There is the talent in the squad to cause serious problems too. Georgi Sudakov, Milko Modric, and Artem Dubrovik, La Liga's top scorer this season, are all exceptional on their day, whilst the likes of Alexander Zinchenko, Mykola Shaparenko, and Viktor Tygankov offer a mix of ability and experience. Ukraine have held England, Germany twice, and Italy to draws in the past year, and could feasibly top a favourable Group B over Belgium, Slovakia, and Romania. If they can impress, no one will want to face them in the knockouts. And again, sorry to our Ukrainian friends for absolutely destroying the names there. To be honest, I was calling Zabania Zavarini for quite a while until Mark McAdam put me right. But can I just have my say on Ukraine?
Right, how long you got?
Very, very quickly. Very quickly.
I've got time to go to the toilet.
Ukraine are the ultimate dark horses at this tournament. I think they are very, very good. They've got some real talent in there. If they combine correctly, let's be honest, it's not just everybody behind them. Let's forget that part of it. I think on the pitch, without what else is going on, they could go far. It's just if they all combine together, they could be the ultimate dark horses.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, I've got them to go out at the round 16, I think, in my predictions. But I think if there is a side that would go beyond that out of this lot, I think it is Ukraine. Chris Manny, what do you think?
For me, I have to totally agree with what Manny said earlier. You shouldn't mix politics and sport, but look, it's human nature. We tend to, and they won the Eurovision on the wave of sympathy, didn't they? But yeah, I like them. Was it Wales they knocked out in the playoffs?
No, that was Poland. Poland knocked out Wales.
Oh.
Yeah,
Poland knocked out Wales.
I see. Do you see what I don't know my facts here, do I? But no, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them do well, and it is possibly a little sympathetic thing towards them there. Again, not going to go on and win it, I don't think, but possible quarterfinalists.
Interesting, Manny.
I've sadly only got them going as far as the second round, just like you, Mr. Harrison. And I think this team obviously has another blend of good blend of youth and experience, and some fairly experienced players have been left out of the squad. In fact, the likes of Karavayev and Krivtsov, Edward Sabol, and a few others. And obviously, when it comes to the Ukraine, they were in the group which included us and Italy, and they did well to end up. I believe, if memory serves me right, they could have knocked Italy out, but Italy ended up, qualifying after winning that playoff. But Ukraine probably were able to go through the back door. I'm not too sure if memory serves me right. I'm going to have to take a look at that and see. But anyway, this particular Ukraine team will have a huge wave of goodwill in its favor, and they're also another team that really does perform well as a unit. And for all of his struggles at club level, there's something about Mikhailo Mudryk that really brings out the best in him when he plays for the Ukraine. And I just think he is clearly a fine talent. He just needs to be used better by the incoming manager. And I think Enzo Maresca will do well to try to look at him and try and build the Chelsea team partly around him and Enzo Fernandez for this coming season. Of course, as an Arsenal fan, I do like watching Alexander Zinchenko play as a midfielder, just not as a left back, for the love of Christ. I've got them finishing second behind Belgium, but once they get to the knockout stages, they could end up facing the Netherlands, I think, and that should really be it for them.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I've got on my predictions, if I remember rightly. I think it's Holland they meet, and yeah, I agree with you, Manny, there. I think that's where they'll probably go out, but that's interesting to see everyone's opinions on the dark horses there and who's been named as dark horses. But one last subject, are England ready? Now, there's been a report by Rob Dorset at Sky Sports, who he follows England on these tournaments. And this is the tournament where he feels that England are most unprepared. The article says England's squad remains one of the strongest at these European Championships. And Rob goes on to say that he doesn't see a better midfield or attacking unit in any of England's opponents right now. And they are still favourites to win the trophy on paper, which, from what some of us have said, is well, we don't really agree with that point. Some of us, do we? But it's a real worry for England that the favourites is based on reputation and previous performances. The reality right now is that Gareth Southgate has a whole host of significant problems to deal with, most of which are beyond his control. But never before have I seen an England squad so poorly prepared for a major tournament. Too many of England's key players are injured, lacking in game time, or are just exhausted. Any views on that, guys? Because
I'm gonna start right now, because obviously, you and Chris got together to preview England's squad, and all I can say is, Mr. Dorset, sir, well done to you. It is so refreshing to see an English journalist, not beat around the bush and not engage in the usual media pre-tournament sycophancy that is normally common. There is, of course, one BBC journalist who I absolutely cannot stand, going by the name of Phil McNulty, who wasted no opportunity to hail Southgate for his courage in picking the squad. But the biggest problem I have is the performances that we've put in against the likes of Brazil and against Iceland, where we lost both of them 1-0, were absolutely appalling. In fact, a bad statistic is that in our last 3 internationals at Wembley, I believe we've lost all of them. And that particular game against Iceland really exposed Southgate's tactical ineptitude for, obviously the word might sound a bit harsh, Chris, and I will obviously be ready for your rebuttal, and I'm sure you'll have one. But the biggest issue that I had was that he started with a 4-2-3-1 formation and saw it fit to play Kobbie Mainoo along with Declan Rice in that defensive midfield pivot. Now, anyone who has watched Manchester United this season will see, obviously, that Mainoo is at his best when he's able to go a little bit forward and therefore, be more of an attacking midfielder. And it was disgusting to see a large number of journalists say Mainoo doesn't have the defensive discipline to play as number 6 in that double defensive pivot. He's not supposed to be playing in that position, for heaven's sake. And once again, Southgate has not really been willing to, stand up for his players who've been thrown to the wolves. That is, of course, the media. And, it's one thing to sort of have the courage to pick players like Kobbie Mainoo and Adam Wharton and say, we want to try to evolve the squad. But what's the use of evolving the squad if you can't evolve tactically as a manager? And that particular performance really underlined our issues. We may have an excellent midfield and attacking unit. I think our attacking unit is probably a little bit better, but I do believe that the midfield does have one or two chinks in its armor that could be exploited. And defensively, we are absolutely abysmal at the moment. And the point about being injured or lacking in game time. Why Luke Shaw is in the squad will always be a mystery, but I suppose we do need to have one left-footed left back. Because if we don't have him, we have to face the prospect of Kieran Trippier starting at left back and Joe Gomez coming on as a substitute. And both of those guys are right-footed. And I think I might have mentioned this, gentlemen, in an earlier episode of Cherry Picking. There's something unnatural about a right-footed bloke playing at left back. I know we had Ashley Young in 2018 and didn't do too badly. But the thing about the likes of Trippier and Gomez playing at left back is because they are not left-footed, they can't overlap effectively and they can't cross the ball for toffee with their wrong feet. So we are going to be a little bit, weakened in that particular respect. But it's the midfield that I also want to talk about. You, Matthew, and Craig will also remember when we were selecting our squad that I wanted Jordan Henderson to be there. The reason being is that with Calvin Phillips now completely out of the picture, having not had any real game time with either Manchester City or West Ham, he couldn't have been in the squad. And even Henderson, obviously, had his struggles in Saudi Arabia and also in Holland with Ajax. But when fit, he'd be that perfect person to join Declan Rice in that double defensive midfield pivot, allowing Jude Bellingham in the center of that midfield to go a little bit forward. So the 4-3-3 could end up transitioning into more of the 4-2-3-1 and be a lot more fluid that way. Without Henderson in the team, we're faced with the prospect of having Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice. And with Bellingham having to, he must now play in the 10. He must go forward and he must be allowed to do his thing. So who could possibly partner Declan Rice in that defensive midfield? We now have to effectively choose between Kobbie Mainoo, who is literally a duck out of water in that position. Adam Wharton is unproven. Could we consider having someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold coming in, knowing that he likes to go forward a lot more? We could end up being a bit weakened. I think our best hope probably would be to play with a 4-3-3 the way we did in Qatar and allow Bellingham to do his thing. Or if Trent Alexander-Arnold has to go forward, then Bellingham has to stay back. So maybe there could be that level of fluidity. As far as our forward line is concerned, I'm not too worried. But those defensive frailties which were on display against Iceland could very well come back to haunt us. But also, Southgate got it tactically wrong by playing Mainoo in that position. And he needs to understand right about now where his younger players are better suited to play and the type of formation he has to use. If he does get it tactically spot on and doesn't engage in any tomfoolery, then we could do well. But ever since the 2020 Euro final, I've started to lose a lot of respect for him and the way he conducted things, and especially the way he conducted things in the final. I was not a fan of the way he did it. And I just don't really know if he's going to be the bloke who will take us further. And I will slightly correct Chris in saying that after we won the World Cup, we did reach the semi-final of the 1968 European Championships. And we also should have gone on to go find the 1970 World Cup, only for Gordon Banks, ex-Leicester City legend, I must add, to sadly fall sick and have Peter Bonetti come in, and we all know what happened there.
He wasn't at Leicester then. He was when we won it. He was at Leicester, but I think it was the Euros after that we did fail to qualify under Alf Ramsey for Euros.
And the subsequent World Cup, I believe we ended up missing out to Poland, who had a certain Jan Tomaszewski in goal, and that was the end of Ramsey's time with England. He then ended up moving later on to Scotland to manage, I think, if memory serves me right. Go figure. But yeah, so I just think Southgate really is now going to be on a hiding to nothing because he's made some bold calls, but he hasn't shown, for me, the ability to really get the best out of the squad. And it's gonna be interesting to see how well England do. And I'm always going to maintain that England's successes under Southgate have been in spite of him, not really because of him. So I just don't know if England will be able to go far in this tournament, and Southgate will have to take some of the blame for that. Not just with the squad selection in part, but also with his tactics and the way he manages things.
Yeah, good points, Chris.
I don't know where to start with that. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? It's 6 a.m. and time to get up. Jesus. I've got there's bits of that I agree with, bits of it I don't. You know me, I totally agree with Manny about Luke Shaw. Right-footed left backs never work. Look at Phil Neville. Funnily enough, against Romania, I think Kevin Keegan was the manager that cost us. We got knocked out. Look, as England manager, as an Arsenal manager, Arteta gets the blame. He gets shouted at, "Oh, you've not picked the right team. You've not done this." As a Bournemouth manager, team, as a Leicester team, the manager will always get it off their fans. As an England manager, you get it from all corners. Let's be honest with you, Southgate can't do right for doing bloody wrong. If he picks new players, he shouldn't have done that. He should have started. Why has he picked him? Why has he picked them? I don't agree with that. Well, none of us agree with it, Manny. Do you know what I mean? He gets roasted if he picks players for new and trying them out and not from the big six. And if he sticks with the players, if Harry Maguire had been in that team, we'd have been absolutely perplexed at why is he still picking Harry Maguire? He's rubbish. He's not done any. The guy can't win, And I don't think he gives a particular. Well, he will give a flying Devils, but it's his last tournament. He's whether he sticks on or not afterwards. I think the FA probably want him to. He's talked about going. And yes, all right, Brazil we lost, Iceland we lost. Do you, as Arsenal and Bournemouth fans, take a bottle of piss and bothered about what your clubs do in pre-season? No, you don't, because usually with a pre-season, you can go out, lose maybe 5 games, and then go on and qualify for Europe or whatever. Or you have a really good pre-season, you think you're going to walk away with everything, and you get relegated. And that's all Brazil and Iceland were. Read absolutely nothing into that. It's tournament football.
Totally agree.
Anything can happen. Yes, we could do absolutely shit. Yes, look when we were under Roy Hodgson. We didn't even get out of a World Cup group that included Costa Rica. So it will happen. It will happen. It can happen. It's tournament football. I don't think. Are we ready? I don't know it. Look, we're England. We always think we're better than we are. We're not that good. We've won the World Cup once. We got to a final once. Other teams have caught us up now. We're not this amazing force in international football that we were back in the 60s and 70s. And we have to accept it. Are we ever going to win it again? I doubt it, because other players are technically better than us. You could argue that might be because all the big teams in the Premier League are buying the players from abroad and not buying English players. And then if you're not buying English players, they're going to the smaller clubs, so therefore they won't get picked. Although I've said that, fair play to Crystal Palace players this time. So whether we're ready or not, we're not going to win it.
Craig, just quickly, lastly on this point, there's a point here that where Rob Dorset says, believe, where he says exhausted. Now, I just want to focus on that for a minute, because if I go back to that interview I've seen with Vidic, and he was questioned about Mitrovic playing in Saudi now, and how he wouldn't have played so many games, and he's playing in a weaker league, and will he be as ready for the tournament? And Vidic kind of replied by saying, with him not playing so many games, he's going to be refreshed and ready to go. Now, does that say something about the overcrowding in the English game of fixtures? Or do you think that would have benefited the players by not playing? Or do you think that's just fighting talk from Vidic?
To be honest, I'll push back on Vidic straight away on there. So firstly, you need game time going into these tournaments. You want to be on the top of your game. They've had a period now of about a month since the Premier League ended. So they will have been able to recover. The players would have been able to get the care from both their clubs and then the England setup in that period. Gareth Southgate should have been able to run the rule over them, and they should be in prime position. Whereas, if, say, for example, a season where you don't have a World Cup or a Euros, sometimes I feel that players are a little bit leggy getting back into it. I feel sometimes that. But I will turn round as well and say something about this and what Rob Dorsett has what Vidic has said about the Saudi League. And the Saudi League is a weaker league. I personally feel that if you are coming up against players, that aren't of the quality of that standard, then your quality is also going to drop. So that is personally why I think, I think Vidic is talking out of his arse there. With regards to the exhaustion side of things, yeah, if we didn't have a season, Luke Shaw wouldn't be fit. Luke Shaw would be fit. Harry Maguire would be fit. But at the same time, it is Foden's just come off one of the best seasons he's ever had. Jude Bellingham's just come off winning the Champions League. They are winners. They want to be back in it, and I think I see the exhaustion part, but they've had a month where they've been able to recuperate and be able to get themselves ready. So I think Vidic is talking out of his backside.
I mean,
play.
it's the same. It's the same thing with Ronaldo, really. I mean, he's been playing in that league and scoring goals for fun and having people going ooh ah and all of that nonsense. And I think for players like Mitrovic and Ronaldo, they don't really need too much motivation to do well for their country. And maybe it was more of a strategic thing, because let's say if you're if you go to a league like that and you don't get playing time, then it's going to be a bit of a problem. And obviously, with Henderson opting to go to Saudi and join a club which was, achieving sweet BA, for want of a nicer way to put things,
Yeah,
it was never really going to work out for him. And I think, he will have to live with the consequences of that decision for the rest of his life. So I do think that Mitrovic will be ready. I think it was a case of him, joining that league and honing his skills. And obviously, he was able to do what Ronaldo couldn't, and that is win silverware over there. So, people are going to talk about Ronaldo's goals. I think people talk about how Kane went to Bayern Munich and scored buckets of goals and won sweet BA. The same thing can be said of Ronaldo. He's won nothing in the Saudi league, and we all know how poor quality a league that is. And one final thing I will say in Southgate's favour: well done to him for selecting Ezri Konsa. Who needs Ben White? England doesn't need a player as petulant as him.
Yeah, fair point. Good point,
I
Manny.
think maybe Harry Kane should have gone to Saudi Arabia.
I knew that was coming. Well,
can I just say in my defence, it was Group F of the Euros 2020, France, Germany, Portugal and Hungary.
there we
Well
are.
done, sir. Well done.
Germany and Portugal were all top at some point on the last day.
Well, there you go. He's
Well,
admitted his cock up.
Well, just lastly, before we finish off, I've done a predicted lineup for the England game, for the first game, which I think Southgate will pick. Just be interested to see if you guys agree or disagree. But excuse the formation, I had to squeeze it all on. But I've gone with Pickford, obviously, Kyle Walker, Stones, Gay, Trippier as the back four. Obviously, Trippier filling at left back. None of us really like a right footer at left back, but there isn't really anybody else to fill that void. And Trippier is an experienced player. Declan Rice in the midfield, 100%. But I think he might be partnered with Trent.
Mm-hmm.
Be an interesting one with Bellingham just in front of him, and a front three of Saka, Kane, and Foden. Am I right? Am I wrong? Would you go with them?
That is the lineup I would more or less
Yeah.
go with, and of course that would probably end up being the midfield three that transitions into the defensive midfield pivot and allows Bellingham to go up. My biggest fear, though, is that Trent might end up deciding to go a little bit further forward and have Bellingham go back. And maybe that could be a bit of a masterstroke because that could lead to an element of surprise. But we have to make sure that Bellingham has more of the defensive discipline, because I think any Liverpool fan worth his salt, and I know that you had Doug from Dugout Football Channel on your podcast recently. He can tell you that in as much as Trent Alexander-Arnold is wonderful going forward, he can't defend for toffee.
No, that is true. That is very, very true. Right, just to finish off, can we have a score prediction for the opening game, Scotland, Germany, and for England's opening game? Craig, let's start with you.
I'm going to go with Germany 2, Scotland 1. Tight game.
And England, its first game?
I think that everybody will be a bit buoyed up by this. I think we'll win 3-0.
Interesting. Manny?
I think we're playing Serbia right in our first game.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Good. So going with the opener, Germany and Scotland, I've actually gone for Germany to go all out with a 3-1 win. I think they're going to score quite a few. I think they will find a way behind Scotland's defence more frequently, and Angus Gunn is not going to have a very happy day facing the German firing squad, pun intended. And as far as England and Serbia are concerned, I am confident enough of predicting an England win, but I think it's going to be as tight as Craig thinks the Germany-Scotland game will be. 2-1 to the Three Lions.
Chris?
Believe it or not, I've actually almost agreed with Manny. Although I do think Scotland will do well, this is going to be the toughest game. It always is. First game, and you play, obviously, in the first game, you play in the hosts, it's proud. I've gone 3-1 for Germany as well. England, Serbia, it is going to be a tough one. England never start very well, do they, at tournaments? They always struggle. I am actually going to change my mind. I had gone for a very tight 1-1 to England, but I'm actually going to go 1-1 because we don't start tournaments very well at all.
Well, Euro 96, we started with a 1-1 draw against Switzerland. We all know what happened there.
Yeah, we certainly did. Well, I'm going to go and back Scotland a little bit. I'm going to go with opening game result of 1-1. Just going to chuck it out there. And England to win 2-0.
Fair enough.
But anyway, just like to thank all you guys for joining us tonight. Chris, it's been a pleasure. If you want to tell everybody where we can find your channel.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on, guys. And Manny, brilliant to see you again. Your knowledge is immense. You can find us all the socials and YouTube, LTID for Leicester Till I Die TV.
Lovely. And Manny, thanks for joining us again. I'm sure we'll see you back on the channel very soon.
Yes, you will. Anytime you're doing any content for the Euros, you just need to call and I will come running. And Chris, wonderful to see you again, sir. And thank you for your compliment. Appreciate that, sir.
And Mr. Beazley, makes a change from you not hosting and me doing it for a change, gives you the night off. But thanks for letting the other two get a word in edgeways. It's been much appreciated.
Not a problem at all, mate. Not a problem at all. And you've done a smashing
Harry
job.
mention as well.
And there was a Harry mention. You still squeezed the Harry in.
But do go check out all of our other interviews. We've had Richard Archer from Hard-Fi. We've had shut up. Don't worry.
Mute him, Matt. Mute him.
And stay tuned to the channel. We've got plenty of other content coming up over the Euros. We'll have an England reaction show on Monday, and plenty other shows up until the final. But until next time, see you soon.
Cheers, guys.